This demonstration video is for the OneBenthic baseline tool. This is designed to show the faunal cluster identity of samples from 0.1 meter grab and core samples that have been processed using a 1 mil sieve and are held in the OneBenthic database. Many of these samples are associated with existing monitoring stations, including those used by the marine aggregate industry under their regional seabed monitoring program. And this tool is designed to provide a record of the baseline faunal conditions within a site of interest. And the cluster groups or the assemblages that are identified have been based on the methodology from this paper, and what this involved was bringing together lots of benthic data, lots of different sources, and then we used a process of unsupervised machine learning to identify cluster groups or assemblages from the data. And the results of that analysis are shown in this figure, and you can see all these dots represent the samples and the colors represent the 12 different cluster groups that were identified. So that was done in 2017, and data which have been brought into OneBenthic since then have been matched to these existing cluster groups using a process of supervised machine learning. And the methodology for that is outlined in this paper and implemented in another tool called the OneBenthic Faunal Cluster ID tool, and you can see a demonstration video for that on the OneBenthic portal if that's of interest. So having identified the cluster groups, and when data are submitted to OneBenthic, we use the cluster ID tool to do that, and then we store the results of that in the database, and you can see that then reflected in the baseline tool. So here's how you'd use it. If you're an aggregate industry developer, you would select RSMP for your monitoring program. You would then select your region of interest. So here we'll select the Humber, and let's say that you operate a particular area, say 492. You can select that from a drop-down list, or you can type it in. And having made that selection, when you zoom in, you'll see the license area. That's the grey box here, and the secondary impact zone around it, and then you'll see lots of dots. And what you're looking at here is all the stations within the Humber RSMP, and the faunal cluster identity is based on the oldest sample, which is available at each of these points. So that's the picture for 492, and then over here on the right there are a few different tabs, and the faunal cluster ID, the faunal cluster characteristics tab tells you a little bit about what these colors represent. So you can see the characterizing taxa and some values for mean, richness and abundance. And then in the samples tab, what you get is a table which has got all the samples which have been collected at these stations that are shown in the map. And there's a column here you can see for license area. So if you want to just isolate the ones that are found within the PIZ and SIZ, that's primary and secondary impact zones, then you can filter using that column. And you can download these data using the download button here. So if I click on that, the data then come out in CSV file format, and you can then produce some summary stats for, say, the number of samples that belong to each of the cluster groups within the region, but also at the more local license level. And that information is then bundled up into a report, and there's a template which is set out in the RSMP storyboard, which you can access through the OneBenthic portal, and then that's submitted as a record of the baseline conditions. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you.